What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Red Sea Radio. My name is Corbin, and the Red Sox first series of the year is officially wrapped up in the Bronx. They went 2-1. They lost 2 out of 3 games to the Yankees. Could that series have gone better? 100%, but could it have gone worse? Definitely. So what we are going to do on this channel today is we're going to sort of wrap up the series into one video. We're going to talk about the highlights, the lowlights, and the key takeaways that I have for the Red Sox going forward as to what they need to do to be a competitive team in this division. As always, though, before we get into that, do me a favor, make sure you guys have hit that subscribe button. If you love the Red Sox and you like Red Sox content, we talk about the Red Sox almost every single day, so don't be afraid to hit that button. Plus, we are only about 100 subscribers away from 1,000. Help us out to get there by hitting that button. Also, make sure that you guys are liking these videos as well, as it just helps out these videos a ton. It would mean a lot to me. Thank you all very much for clicking on this one. Let's get into it. So the first area I kind of want to wrap up for you guys and give my takeaways on is the pitching, which was surprisingly good during this series. Starting with our starting pitching, we talked about Eovaldi on opening day's recap, so if you want to see that and listen to that, that is on my channel. But Pivetta and Houck had fairly decent outings. Pivetta only allowed 4 hits. Yes, 2 of those hits were absolute moonshots on mistake pitches, but in all fairness, he probably shouldn't have been out there for that last inning. And all in all, his command looked good and his stuff looked good, so I could see Pivetta being a more dominant pitcher going forward, especially with the stuff that he showed in his first outing. Now, Houck was a little bit more concerning, especially with his control. We had mentioned this during spring training that it was something to keep an eye on, and it seems as though he's carrying it into at least the first game of the regular season. He was kind of all over the place. He never really knew where the ball was going. He let up a couple of walks, hit a batter, but at the end of the day, he managed to keep guys away from home plate, which was a very good thing. And honestly, in my opinion, Houck has the most upside on this pitching staff right now. His stuff looked absolutely disgusting. He was making guys look silly up there. So if he can manage to get his control in order, he's going to be one of, if not our best pitcher on this team. As for the bullpen, they are doing fantastic, which is wildly surprising, I think, to all of us. I don't think any of us expected our bullpen to be a bright spot going into the regular season, but currently they are leading the league in bullpen ERAs at 0.69. That is number 1 in all of baseball, which is a stat I never thought I would say on this channel, but I'm super excited it did. Last night, Schramm and Diekman had fantastic outings, specifically Diekman, who came in the 9th and struck out the side to win the game. And not only did he strike out the side, he struck out Judge, Stanton, and Gallo, all 3 of the Yankees' best power hitters in a 1-run game. It was wildly impressive to watch, especially coming out after a terrible outing in that first game. A couple other guys I want to talk about. Cutter Crawford got his first win for the Red Sox in his major league career last night. And again, he looked really good. He got into a couple of sticky situations, but never let up a run and did really well on the mound. So I'm excited to watch all of these guys kind of grow into their own player going forward. Sawamura also had a great outing in game 2. All in all, the bullpen has been a surprising bright spot, and if they can maintain being a surprising bright spot through 95% of these games, we are going to be a legitimate contender come October. Let's move on to the defensive side of the ball and my key takeaways there. The defense was another bright spot in this series, especially that outfield defense. Verdugo has been the brightest spot on the Red Sox so far through 3 games, and he's proving it on the field. He had 4 or 5 insane catches that saved at least 1 or 2 runs each time. He is a legitimate contender early on for a Gold Glove. Whatever he did during the offseason, whether that's getting comfortable in left field and knowing that he's playing left field and it's giving him confidence, or just improving his routes and jumps to balls, whatever it was, it is working. Do not stop, Alex. You are killing it. For the rest of the outfield, Christian Arroyo had his first start in right field yesterday, and for what it's worth, yes, there were a couple balls that probably should have been caught that he didn't, but it never ruined the game for us, and he looks fairly natural out there. I think those balls that he dropped will come in time. Obviously, this is his first start. I wasn't expecting him to be an all-star by any means, but he did look fairly good out there. Obviously, Kike and Jackie are going to be very good in the outfield as well, but we already kind of knew that. Another surprising player on the defensive side that has been doing really well is Rafael Devers. He hasn't had an error yet, and I know it's only 3 games, but there have been some really hard hit balls his way that he's been able to manage and get guys out on, and it's been really impressive to watch. In all honesty, if Rafael Devers comes out and is a league average third baseman this year, he is a legitimate candidate for MVP. Not that he wasn't already, but this just completely adds to that mix and makes him more legitimately involved in that conversation. Let's move on to the last and final key takeaway I have here, and that is on the offensive side of the ball. My key takeaway from this series offensively is that we're going to need to wake up at the plate. While we were able to pull out 1 win against the Yankees and stay competitive in the other 3 games, we came into that 3rd game just going 2 for 22 with runners in scoring position. Getting on base hasn't been a problem, but driving them in has. That's going to need to improve as we go forward in this regular season if the Red Sox want to be a competitive team this year. The good news, though, is that it will, right? It's a very long season. There's still 159 games left, and this Red Sox offensive team is just too talented to stay quiet for long. Kike and Trevor Story are off to very slow starts. Kike's still looking for his first hit, but again, those are 2 guys that I have 100% faith in will be able to turn it around and get hot, especially Kike, who's been kind of a streaky hitter before, and once he gets going, I don't think anyone's going to be able to stop him. Trevor Story had a very short spring training because he signed late. He's still getting used to playing in Boston, playing second base, so I'm not super surprised that they are off to kind of slower starts than the rest of the team, especially with Trevor Story, who got a lot of calls in that series against him. He was sick on the 3rd day, so we'll kind of see how he develops into a hitter at Fenway Park. But again, another guy who's just way too talented to stay quiet for very long. There were bright spots in this lineup, though, so it's not like the Red Sox were completely silent on offense. JD Martinez had an RBI in almost every single game. Alex Verdugo, who was the MVP of this series and is the best player on the Red Sox coming out of spring training, had a home run in the 2nd game. He had hits in every single game. He's been on fire at the plate. He looks patient. He looks poised. He looks like he knows what he's doing. So again, Alex Verdugo may legitimately be the Red Sox MVP this year. Bobby Dahlbeck had a couple of hits, one being a go-ahead home run in the 3rd game to end up winning the game eventually. And he looks a lot more patient at the plate, especially on the at-bat right before he hit that home run. He had an 0-2 count and kind of got screwed out of a couple of strikes that could have been called balls, but he looked patient. He knew what pitch he was looking for and ended up punishing him on the next at-bat, which is very good to see. If Bobby Dahlbeck can maintain what he was hitting at the 2nd half of the year, he's going to end up making this lineup one of the most deadly in baseball. We did play small ball to win the game last night. A lot of sacrifice flies, a lot of kind of cheeky ways to get on base. And if that's how we're going to win games, that's how we're going to win games. It's stressful. It's hard to watch. But if at the end of the day, W in the win column, I'm okay with it. However, I really don't think that's how it's going to go going forward. Like I said, the Red Sox are just straight up too talented offensively to play small ball all year. All in all, I'm not worried about the offense, but it's definitely something to keep your eye on. To wrap things up here, my 3 key takeaways are that while the pitching has been stressful to watch this year, right out the gate. With the 3rd game, the Yankees got on base every single leadoff hitter of almost every inning that game. Only 3 innings did they not have their leadoff hitter on base. So it's been stressful to watch, but they've been able to get outs, especially that bullpen. And if they can maintain that, they are going to be a force to be reckoned with. Our defense is going to be much better this year, especially if our infield, with Rafael Devers improving at 3rd base and Trevor Story being added to this lineup, our defense is going to look much better. And that's a very, very good thing with especially a very offensive poised division. And finally, if the bats can wake up, this team may genuinely be an unstoppable force if they can continue to improve on their offense while maintaining a high standard of pitching and defense. This is a genuinely contending team. I know some people out there keep saying this is a fourth place team. This is a fourth place team. Have a little faith. We still have 159 games to go. And if you want to pick apart 3 games and say that they are going to be a fourth place team because of 3 games, that's on you. In my personal opinion, there were a lot of good takeaways from this series, even though the record doesn't show it. Let me know all your thoughts on this series down below. What did you think of the Red Sox in total? What did you think of their pitching, defense, and offense broken up? Let me know all your thoughts going forward in this season. As always, if you've made it to the end of this video, do me a favor, make sure you guys have hit that subscribe button. Like I said, we are only about 100 subscribers away from that 1,000 mark. Let's see if we can get there by the end of April. Also, make sure you guys are hitting that like button as well, as it just helps out the video a ton. You made it to the end of this one, so you clearly enjoy the content. You might as well show it. Thank you all very much for clicking on this one. Can't wait to bring you guys what happens in Detroit, and I will see you in the next one.